Hi, this is Kathy from Gadgets Top 321, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the non-fountain pen pens that I'm going to be taking to the St. Louis Pen Show in a few days. Now, I mentioned in one of my earlier videos when I was talking about the pens that I was going to keep that I said something to the effect of I was going to take all my ballpoint and gel pens to the pen show, and whichever one was left is the one that I would keep, or whichever one out of a couple different pens, the last man standing would be the one that I would keep. But after some thought, I'm going to be keeping the Machine Era Field Pen Twist. This pen just fits my hand so perfectly. I have relatively small hands, and just the size of this pen and the density of it, it is stainless steel. And since it's a small pen, it's not heavy, but it's just really dense and just really sinks into your hand and is so comfortable. The only downside about this pen is it takes Parker style refills, and so there aren't that many options, gel pen options. But a good thing about it is, nowadays there are some nice ballpoint options. If something comes up that I need a pen to carry in my pocket, I can put a ballpoint refill in there. In fact, I had a green ballpoint refill in here the last semester that I taught, and I really enjoyed using that green ballpoint until I dropped it and messed up the tip. But I'm going to be keeping this. This has the Diamond Light coating, DLC coating, and I've mentioned before that last semester I was carrying this in my pocket with my car keys, and I got the pen out one day to use it, and it looked like it was scratched down to the bare stainless steel. I was just sick. And so I quit carrying it with my keys, and after a few days I got it out to use it, and the scratches were fading and eventually were gone. And what had happened was, it wasn't the coating that was scratched. The metal of the keys is softer than this DLC coating, and the keys were scratching onto the pen. Now, I'm not going to take my chances. I'm not going to carry this with keys anymore, but it's nice to know how durable this coating is. I like the very satisfying mechanism. It came with an Atoya needlepoint gel refill, and I've used it up. This isn't an Atoya. This is the Meister by Point. That Atoya refill was pretty wet, so I'm curious to see how this refill compares. But I got used to the wetness of the Atoya refill, and I enjoyed using it. So this is going to be the pen that I keep. Another Machine Era pen that I have in my collection, this is actually the first one that I got. This is the Machine Era Markup. It has a threaded cap, and it came with, I think this is a Schmidt fine liner, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. This is a fun refill to use, but it's a little bit too broad and bleedy to use regularly. I have a little journal that has craft paper pages that this is really fun to use in. But most of the time when I use this, I put a Pilot G2 refill in there. And when I used to use this at school, I would always keep a purple G2 refill in here. The only reason I'm not keeping this is I prefer the Field Pen Twist, because when I'm using this type of a pen, I prefer it to be kind of quick deploying, and this is kind of like the Lilliput. You have to unthread the cap, and then I don't have to post it. A lot of people might prefer that have larger hands, but then to post it, even with it posted, the balance is really nice. This is also a stainless steel pen with a DLC coating, and the balance is just awesome. The section's a little more narrow than I prefer, but for quick notes or quick little journal entries even. This is very comfortable for me. And just the fact that it's not very quick deploying is really the only downside to it. But I'll be taking this to the pen show. It'll be available for sale. Next, I've got my Bastion bolt action pen. I got this and I used it a lot when I was tutoring. In fact, it came in the mail during one of my tutoring sessions, and my young man that I was tutoring got on to me for opening it up. He said I should have done an unboxing, but I was just so curious to get my eyes on it. It's a titanium. It's the full size, but it's made out of titanium. So this was my first, and this is my only titanium pen. For a pen this size, titanium to me is the perfect choice. These little stainless steel pens, for their size, are decently heavy, but because they're small, I shouldn't say that. They're not heavy. They're just really dense, so they're the perfect weight. A bigger pen like this, made out of stainless steel, is going to be pretty heavy. So to me, titanium gives it the right amount of weight. It's not as dense as stainless steel, so you get just the right amount of weight, and it just nestles down in my hand and feels really comfortable. Now, I got the full size because, I've mentioned this before, I thought the full size from the pictures would not have this gap when you engage the bolt. I was really disappointed to see that it did, because at the time I would have preferred the thin model. But after getting this and using it, I found that I don't even notice. Once I got over my initial annoyance of that gap, it doesn't bother me at all. The mechanism itself has a pretty heavy spring compared to some of another bolt action pen that I'm going to show here. And I didn't like it at first, but I think it has just the right amount of fidgetiness to it. I've grown to like it. And I've also grown to like the dimensions. I've grown to like this diameter. I always thought that I preferred narrow pens until I started using some larger pens. For longer writing, this is much more comfortable. Now, the seam is just barely visible here to get to the refill. This also uses Parker style refills. This comes with a ballpoint refill that is branded with the Bastion branding, but I've put the Parker gel pen in here. I've enjoyed that. This is titanium, but this is not raw titanium. You can get a raw titanium pen, but this has the gray finish. I don't typically I thought I didn't like metal pens, but it turns out I don't like chrome finishes. I don't like anodized aluminum. Those just tend to be too slippery for me. Brass is nice. It's grippy. And whatever the finish is they have on this pen, it's nice and grippy. I enjoy it. It's just a nice looking pen. I used this a fair amount with both ballpoint refills and gel refills, and I liked both of them. I guess the main reason I'm choosing the Machine Era over the Bastion is just the length of it. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised now that I'm looking at them side by side. There's not as much different in length as I thought. There's just a little bit of difference in girth. This, if I remember correctly, has a 1 centimeter diameter. This might be like 11.5. This reminds me a lot of holding my Pilot Vanishing Point. But I guess just that slight difference in length makes me prefer the Machine Era. really. It's kind of a tough decision, but I am going to stick with the machine Era. This is my first Parker Jotter. My daughter had the newer extra large Parker Jotter. I think I prefer it better because, again, it's just a little bit girthier, a little more comfortable. The reason I bought this Parker Jotter was to get a gel refill to use in a couple of those other pens. I had ordered some gel refills from Amazon, but when they came in, they were leaking because, they were shipped in an envelope. So at my local office supply store, Staples, the easiest way to get a gel refill was to buy a Parker Jotter gel. I do like the click mechanism on these. This is very fidget friendly, but I'll have this at the pen show. Another pen that this was kind of tough to decide to get rid of. These were the two I was honestly debating between which one to keep, because what I like about this Modern Fuel bolt action pen is you can use almost any type of refill. That's really desirable. Now the bolt on this one has a mushier spring, and I didn't like it at first, but then when I saw someone disengaging it by just giving it a little bump, that is really fidget friendly. And I tried to modify a G2 spring to fit in here. It would have been a little bit firmer of a spring, but I never could get it cut down to be the right size and to fit right. So when I put the original spring back in it and started using it regularly, I got to where I actually really liked it. I've got a G2 refill in here right now. The G2 is my favorite type of gel ink. I don't have a whole lot of experience with different types of gel pens, but my opinion of the G2 is if it's not broke, don't fix it. I really enjoy it. Now, this comes with different parts where you can adjust it to work with different refills, and you can see that this is a copper finish. It was shinier to begin with, that you can see in here inside the bolt, but it has patinaed nicely. If you prefer it to be shiny, if this is something you would want, you can polish it up and have it back shiny, but I kind of like the patina. And finally, I've got a couple old cross ballpoint pens, and I also have some ballpoint refills that I will have on hand. These are the old style chrome, really narrow pens. They have the nice twist mechanism. They feel pretty classy if you're just doing little bits of writing, taking notes, checklists, to-do lists, things like that. Classy little pens to have in a planner. So I'll have two of those. They look like the same pen. I don't know which one is older. This one says Cross Made in the USA up here at the top. And this one says Cross, not Made in the USA, just Cross and then USA. Again, it's just the twist style. So these are the non-fountain pen pens that I'll have at the St. Louis Pen Show in a few days.